Welcome, fellow creators. If you have ever, and I mean ever, struggled to build a consistent writing practice, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to dive into an expert blueprint that actually uses neuroscience to completely transform your relationship with the written word.
Oh, we have all been there, right? You've got this brilliant idea, a story that is just begging to be told. So you sit down, you open up the document, and then nothing. Just that blinking cursor, kind of mocking you. The page stays blindingly white. An hour goes by, and what have you produced? Frustration, and a whole lot of self-doubt. It feels like this huge battle of willpower, and way too often we feel like we're losing. But here's the thing, what if the fight isn't with the page at all? What if willpower is just the wrong weapon for this war?
So here's our roadmap, our game plan, all based on this expert blueprint. First, we're going to pinpoint the real struggle that writers face. Then, we'll get into how to literally rewire your brain for creativity. After that, we'll look at the hard science of what happens when you just show up. Then, I'm going to lay out a super practical 20-minute blueprint you can start using today. And finally, we'll uncover the huge psychological power of small, consistent wins. This is how we're going to get you from frustration to flow.
Okay, let's dive right into this first crucial point. You know that cycle of starting and stopping? You write like crazy for a week and then radio silence for months? Well, the reason so many of us get stuck there isn't because we lack desire, and it's definitely not a lack of talent. It's because we're operating on a totally flawed mental model of how creativity actually works. It's like we're trying to navigate a huge, complex landscape with a broken compass.
This, right here, is the central myth we need to absolutely shatter. We have this romantic idea of the muse, right? That great work only happens in these epic, caffeine-fueled bursts of divine inspiration. So we wait. And we wait for that perfect moment, that lightning strike of genius. But you know what? Relying on inspiration is like trying to power your house with actual lightning. Sure, it's dramatic and powerful, but it is completely unpredictable and totally unsustainable. The real enemy is believing in this myth because it teaches us to wait to feel like writing instead of training ourselves to simply be writers.
So, if waiting for inspiration is a bust, then what is the answer? Well, let's move away from the myth and into the science. We're going to explore the biological reality of how our brains build skills, and honestly, this is a real game changer. This is where the expert blueprint gives us a real, tangible advantage, shifting us from just hoping for magic to actually engaging with our own biology.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. On the left, you've got the myth, this romantic but, let's face it, unreliable idea of willpower and sudden inspiration. And on the right, you have the scientific reality. Success in writing, just like learning piano or mastering a tennis serve, comes from methodically building a neural habit. It's not magic, it's biology.
And the engine that powers this whole transformation is something called neuroplasticity. This is your brain's incredible built-in superpower. Every single time you do something or think a thought, you are physically changing your brain. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to walk through a dense forest for the first time. It's tough, right? You're pushing through branches, watching every step. But if you walk that same path every single day, it gets easier. A clear trail starts to form. Well, daily writing does the exact same thing to your brain. It forges a neural superhighway, making it easier and easier for your thoughts to travel from your mind straight onto the page.
Now, it's really important to set some realistic expectations here. This expert blueprint is clear that not all habits are created equal. A super simple habit like remembering to wash your hands might become automatic in a few weeks. Something more physical, like a gym routine, could take a couple of months. But writing is uniquely complex. It combines abstract thinking with the physical act of typing or moving a pen. And because of that, the science tells us it takes about 30 to 90 days of consistent, daily practice for the habit to really lock in and become automatic. So no, this isn't a weekend project. It's a season of intentionally rewiring your brain.
Okay, so let's get into the really cool part, how this all works on a biological level. And I mean, this isn't just a metaphor. When you commit to a daily practice, you are causing measurable physical changes to your brain. You are literally becoming the biological architect of your own creativity. How cool is that?
Daily writing basically gives your brain 4 major upgrades. First, it strengthens your default mode network. Think of this as your brain's imagination workshop. It's what's active when you're daydreaming. Writing every day makes this workshop more robust, so you get more original ideas. Second, it improves your executive function, the CEO of your brain. This helps with focus and planning.
Third, it enhances your language networks, making it way easier to find the right words. And finally, and this one is huge, it reduces amygdala reactivity. The amygdala is your brain's fear center, and for a lot of us that blank page triggers it, causing anxiety. Daily writing teaches your brain that writing is safe. It's not a threat.
And I really want this to sink in. We are not talking about fuzzy motivational concepts here. These are tangible, biological upgrades to your creative hardware. Every single time you sit down to write, even for a short time, you are actively building a better, faster, more resilient brain that is specifically wired for writing. You're not just practicing, you're evolving.
All right, so we totally get the why now. We've seen the incredible science behind a daily writing habit. So, now for the how. This is the part of the expert blueprint that takes all that powerful neuroscience and translates it into a simple, practical, and most importantly, a non-intimidating action plan you can start like today.
The blueprint itself is just beautifully simple. Step 1, select a consistent time. Pick a 20 to 30 minute window you can protect. Step 2, aim for the micro goal. This is so key. Forget writing a chapter. Your only job is the tiny task in front of you. In step 3, and you cannot skip this, document your session. Put a big X on a calendar, check a box in an app, whatever works. That simple act triggers your brain's reward pathways, giving you a little hit of dopamine that basically says, hey, that was good. Let's do that again tomorrow.
So what is that micro goal? Well, the first option is time. And we're not talking hours of work here. We are just asking for 20 minutes. That's it. That's less than an episode of your favorite sitcom. Pretty much anyone, no matter how busy, can find 20 minutes.
Now, if you're more of a results-oriented person, the blueprint has another option for your micro goal: 250 words. That's it. To put that into perspective, that's about half of a single-spaced page. It's just a few paragraphs. It's an achievable target you can absolutely hit every single day.
So why these specific numbers? 20 minutes, 250 words. They're not random. They are designed to be so small that they fly right under the radar of your brain's resistance. You know, that little voice that says, I'm too tired or I'm not inspired. But at the same time, it's just large enough that once you do it, you've built real momentum. You've proven to yourself you're a person who writes every day. And what often happens is once you start, you find you just want to keep going.
All right, let's look at how this tiny daily action builds into something truly powerful. This last piece of our expert blueprint is all about the psychology behind this micro-habit approach. It's all about engineering your own success and creating a positive feedback loop that builds unstoppable momentum.
This chart just illustrates it perfectly. Think of activation energy as the effort it takes just to get started. The goal, write my book, that's huge. It's intimidating. It requires a massive 95% activation energy just to think about it. But the goal, write 250 words, that requires almost nothing. It's a tiny 5% ask. It's so easy that your brain doesn't even bother to fight it. You lower the barrier so much that stepping over it becomes effortless.
So this approach wins for 5 key reasons. First, as we saw, it takes almost no energy to start. Second, it reduces decision fatigue. You're not debating if you should write, you just do it. Third, every time you hit that goal, you build this evidence-based belief in your own ability to succeed. Fourth, you start to associate writing with accomplishment, not with dread. And finally, and this might be the most important one, it allows for easy recovery. If you miss a day, it's not a catastrophe. You just missed one 20-minute session. It's so easy to get right back on track the next day.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The secret to achieving these massive creative goals isn't about making massive, heroic efforts. It's about having the wisdom to start with commitments that feel so small they're almost ridiculous. Because those are the commitments you'll actually keep, day after day, until they become a part of who you are.
So, we've walked through the science, the strategy, and the psychology. We've seen how a tiny, consistent daily effort can literally rewire your brain and turn you into a more focused and resilient writer. The expert blueprint has given you the tools. The only thing left to do is to take that first, impossibly small step. So I'll leave you with this question. Journaling, working on your novel, brainstorming ideas. What will your 20 minutes be today?